Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the silence before dawn. That sacred pause when the stars still hold their breath and the world hasn't yet remembered its name. Perhaps you've felt a subtle current in the air, an invisible whisper brushing against your soul. It's not a thought, not a voice. It's something older than memory, something that only the still-hearted can feel. At this precise hour, when the world is draped in silence and shadows, an ancient transmission echoes through the cosmos. Not through satellites, not through words, but through frequency, through vibration, through a language that the mind cannot understand, but the soul instantly recognizes. Most will sleep through it. Most will never even sense it. Only a few, just 0.1%, are attuned to this frequency, not because they are better, but because something inside them cracked open just enough to let the universe in. Maybe that someone is you. Maybe you've walked through grief so heavy it bent your spine. Maybe you've questioned your worth in the echo of an empty room. Maybe you've whispered thank you to the sky, even when you felt abandoned. And in that soft thankfulness, you unknowingly tuned in. You see, the universe doesn't shout, it sings. And its songs are encoded in moments like these, before the sun rises, before the ego wakes up, when your heart is still closest to its origin. Science calls this the theta state, a brainwave that bridges consciousness and the dream world. It's the frequency of childhood wonder, of prayer, of hypnosis. But the mystics have always known it as something more, a gateway between worlds. Alan Watts once said, "You are the universe experiencing itself." And in these early hours, that truth is no longer metaphor, it is memory. You are not a seeker trying to hear something outside of you. You are the transmission. You are the antenna. You are the song. But here's the mystery. Why does the universe only whisper at this hour? Why not speak clearly in the noise of the day? Because silence is the price of sacredness. When the world is loud, we forget who we are. We become thoughts, tasks, worries. But in the stillness before daybreak, your soul returns to its native language, presence. It's then that the universe sends out its most vital messages, not about your to-do list, but about your true nature, your healing, your expansion. Maybe you're not here by accident. Maybe this video, this voice, these words are part of the transmission. And maybe, just maybe, this is your time to remember who you are before the sun rises again. Let's begin. There's a hidden doorway in your mind that only opens when the world is quiet. Long before modern science began mapping brainwaves, ancient mystics and sages spoke of sacred hours, windows of awakening that appeared just before dawn. They called it Brahma Muhurta in the yogic tradition, the time of the creator when divine energy moves through the veil of illusion and touches the human heart. Today, neuroscience confirms what the mystics knew intuitively. Just before waking, the brain enters a rare and precious frequency range, theta. This is not the frequency of logic or language. It is the realm of imagination, emotion, and direct communication with the subconscious, a place where your thoughts stop resisting and start receiving. In theta, your mind becomes a soft clay, impressionable, intuitive, and infinitely connected. It's during this state that long-held beliefs can be rewritten, limiting thought patterns can dissolve. The subconscious, normally guarded by the ego, opens like a flower to the sun. This is not wishful thinking. It's epigenetic reprogramming in action. Dr. Bruce Lipton, a pioneer in spiritual biology, has shown that during these altered brain states, our biology literally rewires. The cells in your body begin responding to new emotional signals. Signals not just from your conscious thinking, but from the deep ocean of your vibrational identity. And this is why the transmission can only be felt by a few. Not because it is exclusive, but because very few dare to sit in silence long enough to hear what their soul has been trying to say all along. Silence is not empty. It is full of answers. The 0.1% who catch this transmission are not more enlightened. They are simply more available. They've stopped chasing truth like it's out there. They've learned to become still, because stillness is where reality is reauthored. The quantum physicist David Bohm spoke of an implicate order, a deeper level of reality where everything is already connected. In Bohm's model, what we see as separate is simply the explicate layer, the shadow cast by a greater hidden whole. Theta state is the bridge between these layers. When you enter that frequency, you're not just accessing your own subconscious, you're brushing up against the intelligence that organizes galaxies. You're tapping into what Max Planck called a conscious, intelligent mind, the matrix of all matter. And in this matrix, Intention is not passive, it is creative. Your quiet desire becomes a magnetic force. Your visualizations become blueprints. Your gratitude becomes a frequency that echoes back to you in the form of coincidence, opportunity, and even healing. But all of this, the neuroplasticity, the quantum connection, the vibrational blueprint, depends on one sacred condition: your willingness to listen. And most don't. Most people wake up inside their minds, not inside their being. They start the day with noise, with screens, with urgency. The transmission passes overhead like a comet, unnoticed. But you paused. You listened, and maybe, without realizing it, you've already started to remember. You see, the universe doesn't withhold wisdom. It just waits for coherence. It waits for your frequency to match the signal. And that's what theta is. Coherence between your mind and your soul. It's the forgotten language. The space where manifestation is no longer about trying. It's about becoming. So let me ask you something quietly. What are you becoming in your silence? Are you becoming your past? Are you becoming your fears? Or are you in this moment becoming a clear channel through which the universe speaks its next miracle? Because make no mistake, you are always becoming something. And the pre-dawn hours are the most fertile soil in which to plant your becoming. Imagine your soul as an ancient antenna, tuned not by wires or frequencies, but by experience, surrender, and silent knowing. Before thought, before memory, before even language, there is feeling. And it's through feeling that the transmission speaks first. Have you ever woken up with tears in your eyes and didn't know why? Or felt a sudden warmth in your chest just as the sun crested the horizon? That wasn't emotion. That was recognition. Your heart had caught something. A pulse, a message, a signal, long before your intellect could name it. You see, the human heart is not just a biological organ. It's an electromagnetic powerhouse, radiating a field thousands of times stronger than the brain. Greg Braden, bridging ancient wisdom with modern science, calls this heart-brain coherence, a state where your emotions and thoughts align in such harmony that they become prayer in motion. And this is where the transmission gets personal. In the silence before dawn, your heart becomes a receiver, not of words, but of frequencies, vibrations, encoded intentions sent from the intelligence that some call God, others the universe, and others still their higher self. Whatever name you give it, its language is intuition. This is why the message arrives as a feeling burst, a gentle knowing, a sudden clarity, a quiet nudge that says, this way, no logic, no map, just a sense of truth so still it humbles every question. Neville Goddard taught that imagination is not just a workshop of creation, it's the direct link to the divine, and the heart is its interpreter. When you feel something deeply and clearly, you are not just reacting, you are aligning. The heart doesn't wait for evidence, it recognizes resonance. And in the early hours, before the world demands explanation, your heart is at its most receptive, free from distraction, free from expectation, free from the armor we wear just to survive the noise. But to feel this deeply, something in you must first become tender again. You must be willing to feel the ache, the longing, the beauty that stings because it's too vast for words. This tenderness is not weakness, it is antenna calibration. The more you open, even to your pain, the clearer the signal becomes. Carl Jung once wrote, "Only the wounded physician heals." And what he meant was this: your pain is not the thing that blocks the transmission, it is the antenna, the very crack through which the light gets in. So what if your heartbreak was whole? What if the loneliness you feel just before sunrise is not a curse, but an invitation to feel this world not with the mind that protects, but with the heart that remembers? Because in truth, the transmission was never meant to be understood. It was meant to be felt, to be embodied, to be lived into. It speaks not to your intellect, but to your essence. And this is why only the 0.1% ever catch it. Not because it's hidden, but because most people have armored themselves against their own soul. You haven't. You're here, listening, feeling, perhaps even aching. And that ache is sacred. It is the evidence that you are alive, attuned, and ready. So when you feel something shift in your chest, a flutter, a warmth, a tear rising for no reason, don't run from it. That's the message arriving. That's the signal being received. And in that moment, you are no longer separate. You are no longer waiting. You are the antenna. You are the transmission. You are the proof that the universe speaks in silence. There is a mirror that only appears in the dark, not the kind you see with your eyes, but the kind that sees you, not your face, not your name, but your essence. It reflects not what you think you are, but what you're truly vibrating into the field. This mirror is quantum, and it does not judge, filter, or delay. It simply echoes. Whatever you become in the quiet, it sends back amplified. This is the secret that most never understand. Your frequency is your request, not your words, not your rituals, but your emotional signature, the felt truth beneath everything you say and do. And this is why the hours before daybreak are so powerful. In those moments of stillness, when your thoughts are hushed and your heart is raw, your vibrational field becomes crystal clear. There is no resistance, no pretense, just signal. Joe Dispenza often says, you can't create a new future from the emotions of the past. And he's right, because emotion is energy in motion, and most of us live on repeat. Same thoughts, same feelings, same broadcast, same reality. But what if you paused long enough in the sacred silence of pre-dawn to change the broadcast, to become still not as an act of escape, but as an act of recalibration? The quantum field, what physicists like Niels Bohr and Max Planck intuited long ago, doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are being. So let me ask you gently, who are you being in your solitude? When no one is watching, when nothing is demanding, when the world hasn't told you yet who to become, that's the version of you the universe listens to. That's the version it mirrors. If you wake up in shame, it amplifies more shame. If you rise in quiet wonder, it sends back synchronicity. If you embody gratitude before anything appears, it reflects that gratitude into form, not because it rewards you, but because it recognizes you. This is why Neville Goddard taught not to ask, but to assume, to live from the end, to feel as if what you desire is already true, not in a fake performance, but in an intimate knowing. That knowing becomes your frequency fingerprint, and the universe, like a perfect mirror without delay or distortion, reflects it back. But here's the paradox. Most people look into the quantum mirror too soon. They expect instant results. They wake up, set intentions, and then scan the world for proof. But the true signal takes time. It deepens in silence. It solidifies in repetition. It becomes real when it no longer needs to be proven. It's like planting a seed in total darkness. You don't keep digging it up every hour to see if it's growing. You trust. You water it. You become the version of you who already knows the tree will one day shade others. This is the sacred work of the 0.1%. Not to hustle for proof, but to live as a signal. Not to chase light, but to become light in the dark. So, what does the mirror see when it looks at you in the stillness? Does it see doubt disguised as faith? Or does it see faith so unshakable, so deeply felt that the entire field begins to rearrange itself around you? The transmission you catch before dawn is not just information. It is invitation to become what you seek, to vibrate what you long for, to reflect back to the universe what your soul remembers it was before the noise began. This mirror never lies. It only waits. What will it reflect tomorrow? If tonight you decide to become what your heart already knows, every morning the world is reborn, but few ever notice it happening. They wake into clocks, into noise, into yesterday's emotions disguised as urgency. The miracle of the new day slips by unnoticed. But the 0.1%, those who catch the transmission before daybreak, they become something different. They don't just witness the dawn, they become it. This isn't poetic metaphor, it's energetic fact. When you attune your being to the sacred frequency of stillness, you stop seeking light from outside and start radiating it from within. Your body becomes an instrument, your breath a sacred wind, your emotions messengers from realms beyond words. And this is where everything changes, because the transmission you received before sunrise is not just meant to awaken you. It's meant to pass through you, to heal rooms you enter, to soften people you love, to influence reality, not through control, but through coherence. Florence Scovel Shinn wrote, "The invisible forces are ever working for man, who is always pulling the strings himself, though he does not know it. That string is your vibration, your quiet frequency, your unseen alignment with what you say you believe." So here's the invitation. Become a transmitter, not by trying harder, not by fixing yourself, but by entering into a simple daily ritual, a moment each morning before the world awakens, when you reconnect with your essence and choose, with full awareness, the frequency you wish to emit. It can be 10 minutes, even even 3. What matters is presence. Sit in silence before the sun rises. Place one hand on your chest, the other on your belly. Breathe. Feel the rhythm of life moving through you, without effort, without thought. Then speak, not aloud, but inside, as if whispering to the soul, I am the light I used to see. Feel those words, not as wishful thinking, but as truth you're remembering. Visualize yourself as a lighthouse on a silent shore. You're not shouting, you're not chasing, you're simply shining, constant, calm, luminous, a signal of safety and return, not just for others, but for your own lost fragments to come home. This is not just visualization, it's neuroplastic reprogramming. It's coherence between the brain, the heart, and the quantum field. As Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches, when a new thought is combined with elevated emotion and repeated in stillness, it becomes chemistry, and that chemistry becomes biology, and that biology becomes destiny. So what destiny are you encoding in your frequency right now? One of delay or one of divine readiness? When you rise as the dawn, not hurried, not hungry, but whole, the universe recognizes its own signal within you. It begins to align, respond, magnetize, not because you command it, but because you became it. You've stopped being the seeker. You've become the source. And that is the essence of the transmission. So the question is no longer, will I catch the message? The question is, will I carry it? Will you walk into this day as light? Will you let your pain become power? Will you rise, not just from your bed, but from your past? If you will, then you are already part of the 0.1%, and the dawn is already inside you. What if everything you've been looking for was never lost? What if the ache you feel at 4 a.m. isn't loneliness, but a memory of who you were before the world told you who to be? What if the silence you fear is actually your soul returning home? You've walked with pain. You've sat with questions. You've endured nights where the weight of being human felt unbearable. And yet, here you are, listening, open, soft, willing. That alone makes you part of something rare. Not the 0.1% by statistics, but by vibration. You're not here by accident. Something in you aligned with these words. Something in you knew this voice, not as a stranger, but as a reflection. You've always been connected. You've always been the receiver. You just forgot. Until now, the transmission was never out there. It was you. You are the message the universe has been sending through time and silence. You are the dawn breaking through someone else's darkness. You are the whispered reminder that healing is not only possible, it is already happening in every breath, in every still moment, in every time you chose love over fear, silence over noise, trust over proof. Maybe you won't remember every word from this video, but if you remember one thing, let it be this: you are not broken. You are becoming, and in your becoming, you shine, not to be seen, but because that is what light does when it's free. So tomorrow, before the sun rises, find your quiet again. Place your hand on your chest. Feel your own pulse, the heartbeat of a soul that refused to give up, and know that in that moment, you are not alone. Thousands of others, silent, unseen, sacred, are rising too. You are part of a quiet revolution, a global breath, a soft army of light carriers who meet not in temples or timelines, but in vibration, in intention, in remembering. If these words found you, if this frequency feels like home, you are already one of us. And if your heart says yes to more moments like this, to more whispers of truth, to more reminders of your light, then stay close. Subscribe, not just to a channel, but to a path, a rhythm, a remembering. There will be more transmission, more dawns, more quiet awakenings disguised as videos, because the universe is still speaking. And now, so are you.